So one year for Christmas, my mom got me a Talk Girl. And it was the thing I was the most excited about because somewhere deep down, I think I wanted to be a journalist or a writer or something that had to do with communicating stories and sharing those with people. And as much as I loved my Talk Girl, I hated my voice. I hated talking into it. I hated anything that had to do with me having to be on tape. I just wanted to hear other people, hear their side, and really just do that. Don't have me on there. The same thing with the diary that you had to use a password to be able to open. I wanted one of those as well. I finally got it. And when it was time for me to record my message to get it to open, I was too afraid to say anything. But I was so worried about how it would sound. I was more concerned about the person that was breaking into my diary going, ugh, that's what she sounded like. So when the Talk Girl broke, when I no longer needed a diary, I started to try to figure out why I didn't like what I was hearing. Some years later, I did kind of get into journalism by doing digital media, by becoming the joy element in things that I do as a business as well as a personal brand. And I started a podcast. A person that hated their voice started a podcast. And in doing that podcast, I had to edit. I had to hear myself. And somewhere in the midst of that, I started to find comfort in those little nuances about my voice. How there are certain things that I linger on, the inflections that I have. Slowly but surely, I began to like what I heard. And that made me like the person who was talking because I didn't at first. And eventually I looked back at that kid who was so afraid to speak, who was so afraid to use their voice even when they had the instruments to do so. And I started to understand her. I started to give her grace. I started to give her love. And I started to let her speak. So even in the lisp, even when I don't know what to say, even when I stumble over my words and I can't hold eye contact and I gesticulate and I worry about whether whatever I'm saying makes sense, I got to hear my voice. I got to use my voice. And in the end, that's all that matters.